Hey there, hope you're doing well. In this podcast, let's talk about another one of the issues that we ran into with some of the recent Lambda work that we've been doing at Snowpal. We have a large number of endpoints. Let me take an example, right? One of the endpoints just failed when we actually added that endpoint in the Lambda function. And forgetting the details of the endpoint, let's pretend that it's a very simple get endpoint which accepted a body, right? A request body. Now if you're thinking, why would a get accept a body? That's a fair question. The spec doesn't necessarily disallow that, and but with that said, it's rather uncommon. We don't do that, but there's an endpoint here or there where we actually end up in that scenario, right? That's a topic for another day. But say we have a get request to the body, which just works in all other cases. So when we push this to Lambda, we saw an error, which is very, I can't remember the exact error, but it was a cloud front error. It was a 40, I don't know if it was a 403 or one of those errors, permissioning auth errors, but it actually, the response in the error message was like an HTML body, or it was HTML MIME type, if I remember correctly. So it was a rather unique kind of error, the way it presented itself. So we were trying to debug this, and I'm telling you upfront actually the answer to the problem, which is the get with the request body, which actually is the answer. We'll get to it in a second. Because we have a variety of endpoints. In this particular case, a bunch of REST endpoints, which are get, patch, post, delete, and so on and so forth. Um, uh, Before we were able to tell that it was because it was a get request with a get request with a request body. It was hard to tell because we tried a few different permutations and combinations, and we couldn't really tell why this particular endpoint failed, right? Because we are beginning to add a lot of these endpoints into the Lambda world, and to satisfy the current project's requirements for one of the things we are starting out to do. But so this was just one of one. It was pretty much a random endpoint there, right? There's endpoints that worked, and suddenly this one didn't work and failed with a CloudFront error that we hadn't seen in any other case. So after quite a bit of debugging, we arrived at the fact that this was because the get request had a request body. Now, surely you would have expected the error to tell you, point you in that direction, but it had nothing to do with that. So then when we changed it to actually a post request with a body, or a get request with no body, then we got past that error message. Again, these are the nuances that we have kind of been running into. So keep that in mind. This is one scenario where it just bailed, it bombed on us, where there was a get request to the body. But there could be other cases where you end up with these literally blanket, high-level CloudFront errors. And if you're wondering what the heck is going on, don't rely on the error to point you in the right direction. Just look at some other things, like maybe some other things that could be causing these problems, or find one that works and draw the parallels and do some comparisons to see why that doesn't work or this does work. Because the approach, we were essentially, the way we got to the bottom of the problem, one of the ways we got to it was also because we were trying a variety of these permutations and combinations, right? Different HTTP verbs, and with and without these request bodies and whatnot. So obviously, for problems such as this, when someone tells you the solution, it makes it more trivial than it really is. But to get to it, it actually eats up like several hours of your time, unfortunately. So this is another one. There's a few other things I want to talk about, but in the subsequent podcast. But that's about it for this one. And before I end the podcast, if you haven't checked us out already, go to the App Store, Play Store, the web app, whatever you want to do. See how you could use our platform to help you manage your projects, no matter what size the project is and no matter what kind of project it is, right? Thanks for watching. Bye bye.